Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, and it's another new music showcase. My guest today and his band Amber Wild recently released their debut singles, Breakout and Silver, and they had the coveted spot of opening up the final run of Kiss shows. And his dad's kind of a big deal, too. But please welcome from Amber Wild, Evan Stanley. Welcome, Evan.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And let's start with the band. First of all, who joins you in the band, and how long have you guys been together?
Yeah, we started in January of this year, so it's been a pretty quick run. But we got Thomas Lowry on drums, Marshall Vai on guitar and vocals, and Jake Mastineri on bass, and then me on guitar and lead vocals.
And because it's a question I always get with this site, I have to ask you, where did the name come from?
That is a long and mysterious question that I don't think we have the time for here.
We'll just leave it at that. Now, Breakout in Silver came out this past October, sort of a double A side. And you guys have gotten some really good reviews off of it, gotten a lot of play on various outlets. Will we get a full record coming up in 2024?
Definitely get a lot more music coming in 2024, and especially at the top. We're really through the whole thing, but we got stuff coming out really towards the top of 2024 and consistently onwards. But right now, I think the biggest thing we're focused on is building that audience and playing live and connecting with as many people as we can to build up the demand for a full length. As much as we'd love to put out a full length this second, especially with the way music is consumed now, I just don't think it makes sense. I think it's better to build up the demand and then give it.
Well, yeah, it's funny because I talk with a lot of different bands, and I find with a lot of younger bands, that's kind of the way to go.
Mhm.
Just kind of put out that consistent music throughout the year and really build the audience up as opposed to the old traditional way of here's a record, here's our 10 songs, and going on from there.
Yeah, as much as I would love to do that, because and I know all the guys in the band we're all fans of like a long form work. There's nothing better than getting to settle in with a record you love and just listen to cover to cover. But just the way consumers are now, and I'm guilty of it too, unless you're already invested, I don't think there are many people who are going to give you 30 or 40 minutes of their time to check something out. So, let's get people invested first, and then we'll give them a record. Because with how much time and care and energy and love we put into making the stuff, we want to make sure that it gets heard. And I think the best way to do that is to pace yourself. And there's nothing. It's slow and steady kind of wins. It's the boring old saying, but it's true. If you can just continually feed and continually deliver and show people we're going to do it again and again and again, then you get people invested and people really connecting. So I think that's really what it's all about. It's every age, there are different mediums and people connect differently. But at the end of the day, that's what people want to find in music is connection. And that's what we want to find too. It's what we
Yeah.
love.
And when it comes to the creative process of the band, how do you guys work? Is it a collaborative effort? Does one of you usually come in with a riff or an idea that the others build around? How do you guys approach creating music?
It's really different for everything. It's super collaborative. I mean, there have been a lot of songs that I've brought in pretty much either done or pretty close to done. And then there are times I'll bring in a riff, or Marsh brings in a riff or an idea, or Tommy has some lyrics, or we're just sitting around and we kind of start something. It's really a case by case thing. The one consistent thing, the common denominator of everything is at the end of the day, the stuff that really brings the songs to life are, you know, each member's take on what should be played. It's how we interact with each other and that chemistry that I think brings something unique to it, whether I write a song or Marsh brings something in or we all work on it together. It's, how we all play it and how we play it together is, I think, what really makes it us.
Right. And we mentioned the run opening for Kiss, and we'll get to that a little later. But you guys have also done quite a few shows on your own, including you did a show at the Bowery Electric in New York, a
Yeah.
couple headlining shows out in LA. For a young band, what's it? Is there a different feel for you guys when you're playing a show, like the Bowery Electric show, where people are there to see you, as
Hmm.
opposed to opening up a bigger show where you got to work to kind of win the crowd over who may not know who you are?
Hmm. Yeah, it's totally it's different and it's not different in the sense that, no matter where we're playing, we always go out and give our absolute best because that's what we're there to do. And that's also what we love doing. We're there because we love it. We love playing music and we're always going to give our absolute best. It's definitely a different experience, whether it was at Aftershock or opening for Wolf Mother or opening for Kiss, when you get on stage and the vast majority of people there don't know who you are and probably really don't care for the most part. It's like you have to make them care. So, you definitely have to figure out ways to give more. But then that makes you go even harder when it's your show. I mean, we had a lot of people, especially in LA, because, we're based out of here, but we had never played a headline show. So when we came back from the Kiss tour, we packed out the Echo here on like a Wednesday, which was amazing. It was so cool to see all these people coming out for us and really for us. They spent their money to see us play, and that's a really cool feeling. And that makes you go off even more too, though, because you're like, okay, these people, they chose to be here.
Right.
They chose to set aside their time and their money to come watch you. It's like, you better fucking give them something. So, uh, but it's a great, great feeling. That's been the one really cool thing is coming off tour. We were obviously in a really unique and incredible position getting to be in front of that many people. And, there's nothing that quite feels like that. But then at the same time, we played the Bowery and sold it out and then played the Echo. And it's like, okay, there's also no feeling like that because all those people were there for you, and those were just as fun. It was an absolute blast, and the Echo was supposed to be our last show of the year, but we were like, shit, I don't want to wait a month to play again, so we're playing on Tuesday. It's like couldn't wait. So, again, that it all comes down to like that's what we love doing. So all the shows are different in their own ways, but not really.
Yeah.
You get to play music and you're trying to connect with people, and how you do that on a small stage versus a big one or a crowd that knows you versus don't, it might be a little different, but it's really all about connecting with people and sharing what you love.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. It's a great answer for that. And, we mentioned your dad and Kiss was a quintessential New York rock band when they started. And while you spent some time in New York, you mentioned that you guys are an LA band. You grew up in LA.
Yeah, I grew up in LA and then I moved to New York as soon as I could. I thought I hated LA or I did growing up. Uh, and I was in New York a few years and then I started coming back here a little bit more and there was much more of a music scene here.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, maybe I don't hate this so much. So started
Well,
there.
that's why. Do you identify more? I mean, because each city has their scene and their sound. And
Mhm.
so do you try to bring in kind of both, or do you just do what you do and however it lands?
I think nowadays, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I don't think any city has a sound anymore because
Mm,
now everything's gotten so global.
yeah.
Uh, I don't think cities mean that much. Some have a better scene than others in terms of live, people going out and seeing music. But in terms of a specific sound, I think it's gotten it's gotten so global where there's a lot of New York and LA and there's a lot of LA and New York. Just got to know where to look. And for us, we just try to do our best to bring all our influences together in a way that makes sense, but is also a little bit different than everyone else.
Yeah, and I've talked with other artists that have a famous parent in the business. And a lot of what I got back from them is, in a way, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, naturally, name recognition and who you know, any band would kill for that. But then you always get that subset of people say, well, he doesn't sound like Kiss. You're not supposed to. You're you. you know, how do you get that kind of pushback of people who are like, that's not what you're supposed to sound like, kind of thing?
A little bit, but I think the biggest thing is it is a double-edged thing where I was really lucky, I can't speak to anyone else's experience, but my dad's just an awesome dad. He's always been super present. Both my parents, super present, really supportive, really loving, um, which is awesome. And I think that's so important, gives you confidence to do your thing. And there are definitely people who are like, oh, it doesn't sound like Kiss. And it's like, I know, it's because we're not Kiss. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I do think a lot of people don't recognize, there's like, oh, well, it's easy because of your dad's like, for sure, have a lot of amazing connections. But one, people will answer the phone once.
Yeah.
They don't care who your dad is. And at the end of the day, um, the public decides what endures. Otherwise, you'd have a lot of musical dynasties that I don't see any. It's you gotta be really good at what you do. And I think people sometimes forget that at the end of the day, no matter how hard an industry might push for someone or how much backing there might be, which granted we don't have, we're a completely independent band in every sense. And we got an amazing, amazing opportunity with that Kiss tour. That was incredible. But there's not some crazy machine behind us. We're still
Right.
just an independent band. But for all of that, at the end of the day, no matter what the opportunity is or what the exposure is or connections, like the consumers get to decide. If they listen to the stuff, it lasts. If they don't, it doesn't matter who your dad is.
Hmm.
Um, I also think the bar is very different, where, ever since I was a kid, it's like you're not getting compared to the other bands in school. You're getting compared to
Yeah.
Kiss. So it's like good is shit and great is okay, And in a lot of ways, that's great because it pushes you. It really pushes you to be on your game. But yeah, there are a lot of amazing opportunities that come with it, and there are things that are on the flip side. It's kind of like anything. There's a lot
Yeah.
of granted, I've had an amazing life and a great family. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So, it's it is what it is, but there's certainly pros and cons on the music side.
Yeah.
But hey, we love what we do and we're just doing it the best we can. That's all you can do.
Yeah, and when it came to those last shows at MSG, it had to be emotional for you on a number of levels. But as a young band who's, again, you guys have been together less than a year, how did you approach kind of the media onslaught of that weekend? And again, as a son, how was it watching your dad end at the arena around the corner from where he started?
Yeah, it was incredible to get to share that with my dad. A lot of people forget, it's Paul Stanley, it's a star child, it's Kiss to everyone, but like that's just my dad to
Mm.
me. So more than anything, to get to share that, which is it's a big moment in music history, but it's a massive moment for my family. It's a
Yeah.
huge shift in his life and in all of ours. So to get to share that was really, really cool. And it's something I'll never forget, and it's an incredible memory. On top of that, getting to play the Garden is fucking
Yeah.
wild. So how do we handle it though? Like everything else, I think the best thing you can do is just give your all to everything and have a blast. It's like no matter where we're at, if we play, when we were up in Canada, we had a lot of one night we played Seattle to I think it was 18,000, and then two nights after we played Vancouver to probably 50, and then we played Calgary or not Calgary, Saskatoon maybe to like 12, and then Calgary was maybe 100, and then Montreal was great. That was pretty full, and it was all young. I don't know how people found out about it, but it was like a bunch of young people, and they were really into it, and uh, that was a great crowd and super fun. But the point being, like, no matter where we're playing, when we played to 12, and when I say 12, I mean 12 because I counted how many people were there, and there were 12, and and we played the same, because you never you can't punish the people that showed up for the people that didn't. It's like we're getting to play music live and people came out to see it. It's like if there are if there's one person there, we're going to do exactly what we do in front of 20,000 because that one person set aside their time, which is very finite, and came out and gave that to us. So we owe them something for it. It's like I think that's where people run into trouble. It's like, oh, I'm bummed there's one person. It's like, great, let's get on the floor and play with them. Let's get them on stage. Let's have fun. Like they should leave going, oh my God, why was I the only person there? Oh
Mm.
my God, I saw this band with 12 people in the room. If you put on the right show, they're going to tell everyone about it. So I think we kind of approach everything, at least to the best of our ability, the same way. Just go out and do what we do and have as much fun as we possibly can. Because I think that's what really gets people. If they see the love that you put out, they'll fall in with it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I love hearing you say that because there have been a lot of times over the years where I was one of the 12 people in the crowd for a band. And later on, they've gone on to become a big band. And you look back at those shows and you're like, that's why they became a big band because, they kicked my ass when it was me and 11 other people there.
Oh well, the funniest thing we played Foo in Montreal, And everyone in Montreal talks about Nirvana because Nirvana played there a month before Nevermind. Sorry, I got up at 4 a.m. to go to LAX this day, so I'm confused. Nevermind came out. Yeah, Nirvana played there. I think it was a month before Nevermind came out and blew up. And everyone in Montreal was like, I was at this show, and we were talking to the guy who runs. He goes, there were 30 people there. He's
Yeah.
like, I think it was 32, but he's like, I remember. He's like, I was there. We sold 32 tickets. He's like, but Kurt was literally climbing up the walls and jumping off stuff, and they were Nirvana. And then a month later, Nevermind came out, where it grows into this mythical thing. But it's like, yeah, there were 32 people there. And, and it was crazy, and it was super cool and inspiring to hear that before we played. Like he was telling us that at load-in and sound check, and it was like, I love that because yeah, it's like no matter how many people come out tonight, we're gonna play the same.
Yep.
And luckily that night ended up being a blast. This band Tarbox opened for us, and they're sick. They were really, really cool guys and actually a great band. And then a bunch of people came out, a lot of good looking girls. It's Montreal, so that was real nice. And everyone was really into it. So like that was an amazing, amazing night. Uh, it wasn't the size of the Kiss crowds, but they got everything we had in us.
That's awesome. And there were a lot of rumors leading up to that last Kiss weekend. And one of them was that there was going to be a new lineup led by you. Was there ever any discussion of you putting the makeup on?
No, it's the funniest thing. Like people keep asking that constantly, and it's like, dude, you can look at like 1,000 interviews where my dad says it, Gene says it, I say it, Nick says it. It's like, no, there's like, no, that's my dad's thing. I'm busy with my thing. Like, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm grateful for it. I love it. I'm a fan of the music. I'm a fan of the show. I've gotten to have a really unique and very wonderful life as a direct result of it. Do I want to put the makeup on and be, baby Paul? Like, fuck no. Like I got my own thing going. That's not a knock. I think there's someone
Right.
out there who probably would want to do
Yeah.
that and would probably do an amazing job. But
Mm,
like that's not me. I've not spent my life trying to be that. So
right.
um no, I got too much other stuff going on.
Well, we've been spending some time here with Evan Stanley. The band is called Amber Wild. And what's coming up next for you guys? Will we see you again on a tour on your own? Are you going to look to connect with another band? What are the touring plans for 24?
Any and all of the above. I mean, right now, our real focus is to play as much as possible. So we're talking to a couple friends, friends bands that we love that are out there doing it that we're planning some runs with. And for the next couple months, we'll be playing a lot around LA after the holidays and the surrounding areas and putting more stuff out, really more than anything, just play. I think that's the best thing we can do. And that's really what we're focused on at the moment is playing as much as we can.
Well, I look forward to catching you guys if you make it back up here in the Northeast. And
Absolutely.
Evan, best of luck. I love the new music. Like I said, I've heard some great things about you guys playing live. I can't wait to check it out myself. And have a great year. And hopefully, we can catch you up here soon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me, and we'll definitely be out there soon and hopefully get to see you at one of the shows.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you, man.